I just finished quarantining in South Korea. It's about 2 weeks in a hotel room alone, and it was kind of like being in prison. If prison was a luxury hotel room, I wasn't allowed to leave, and every day I would get 3 meals delivered to the door, and they were pretty good, actually, surprisingly. I got a choice between if I wanted Western food or Asian food, and I figured, if I'm here, they're probably making better Asian food than imitation Western food, so I opted for the Asian food. And even for breakfast, I would get like this much food, 3 times a day. It was a lot of food. I couldn't eat all of it. Um, I know I heard later actually some folks in Korea were upset that people quarantining got this much food because the Korean soldiers, I guess, didn't get nearly as much food, and you're required to serve military duty if you're Korean. Um, Made my bed every day. Very important aspect of mental health. This bed was also huge. The room wasn't that big. I mean, it was big enough for one person. I had a table, kind of a lounge chair with a footstool. Um, Tried to stay active as much as I can. I kind of had a knee problem while I was there, but you can only stay so active in a room, stretching and some other exercises. But even then, I kind of had to take it easy because my knee was bugging me a little bit. Um, but I don't know. I guess quarantine didn't bother me that much. I mean, there were moments where I was like, I want to go outside, or I'd be looking out the window and there's like cars going by and people walking, and the weather would be nice. It was, springtime, flowers. I could see green grass, and you know, in the beginning, I think it was tougher knowing that I still had 10 days or whatever left, and I wasn't even halfway through this 2 week thing. But would I do it again? I hope not. I mean, I also had to pay for it. It wasn't free. Um, so I'd already had my vaccine when I arrived, but at the time, the requirement was that even if you've had the vaccine, you still have to quarantine. Um, Actually, while I was in quarantine, they were changing some rules and were actually allowing uh, Koreans to avoid quarantine if they received the vaccine in the country, in South Korea. But uh, I didn't get that bored. I had some work stuff I was doing and studying for some tests that I have coming up, and video chatting friends and family a lot. Uh, I can stay pretty content anywhere that I have an internet connection. One of the other activities I anticipated the whole time was doing my laundry by hand. I actually did it twice, just because I didn't have that much laundry to begin with, and really wasn't that bad. I mean, the sink was pretty big. Stuff dried pretty quick. They actually gave me some laundry detergent to use. It's not my first time doing laundry by hand either. I mean, I've done a lot of long distance hiking trips where I was also doing it by hand. Um, yeah, it's in a hotel room, so there's no, washer and dryer. So I had to hang my stuff to dry. One of the things that I was kind of bummed out about was they had these speakers in the room that they use to communicate with people that are quarantining. You don't get like a personalized message; it's like a recorded message, and they would play like 8 or 9 of these a day, and like not in like the middle of the night, but all throughout the day, uh, about like how to handle your trash or what the checkout procedure is like, uh, how to dispose of your food if you don't use it, like all these rules. And these messages were in like 6 different languages. So at first it would be in English, and then it would be in Korean, or maybe Korean was first, and then it would be in Japanese. Uh, and I did ride the bike for like a minute through the middle of the hotel room. And Korean baseball was on TV a lot, so don't usually watch baseball, but I played a lot of baseball, so it's kind of interesting when there's nothing else to watch. Um, Ate some instant ramen. The Korean ramen is better, I think, or at least that's what everybody says, and I think I agree with them. It's just the instant ramen anyway. It's really spicy. I figured out ways to be kind of creative with the furniture to get some other exercises in. Uh, I used to have a stand, like I think it's like a Wahoo kicker, like a bike spinning trainer thing you can connect your bike to, and wanted to bring it on this trip, but ended up actually selling it before I left. But it could have been interesting. I didn't make a lot of noise. I feel like maybe that would have made too much noise, and exercising sometimes can make noise, but I had no idea if there was like someone beside me, someone below me. Like one time I opened my front door to get my food, and the other guy, like on the other side of the hall, opened his door at the same time, and we saw each other, and it was kind of awkward. And he like waited for me to get my food, and I wanted to be like, oh, "Hey, what day are you on?" But we didn't talk. So yeah, I mean, quarantine mentally tough. I think to some degree, definitely not physically tough, but I spent a lot of time alone, working and traveling on my own. Other than like being able to go outside and maybe ride my bike or something, it wasn't that much different from like a normal day. You know, it's just another day. I was glad to get out though.